Hello and welcome. So glad you could join me. Today, we're going to dive into a really powerful idea from the Quran, this concept of a single, unbroken thread of revelation that kind of weaves through all of human history. We're going to unpack what that really means and, why it matters so much, especially right now. You know that feeling when you hear two people describe the exact same event, but it sounds like they were on different planets? It happens all the time, right? In the news and history, even just with family stories. It really makes you stop and wonder, okay, but what actually happened? What was the original story? Well, that's the very same question we're exploring today, just on a much, much bigger theological scale. So, here's our game plan for digging into this. First, we're going to look at what I'm calling the original blueprint, laid out in the Quran. Then we'll see how one single core message was delivered through lots of different messengers. After that, we have to ask, how did that unity get broken? We'll look at the self-inflicted fracture. Then comes the consequence, the inevitable return. And finally, we'll pull it all together and ask, what's the real proof of unity? All right, let's jump right in with Section 1, the original blueprint. We're going to zero in on one single verse. What's so amazing about it is its placement. It comes right after the Quran has walked through the stories of so many prophets, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and many others. It acts like this powerful, definitive statement that ties all of their stories together. And here it is. Indeed, this community of yours is one community, and I am your Lord, so worship me. Think about that. After all these incredible stories of struggle, miracles, and guidance given to different peoples at different times, the narrative pauses for this. The source material we're looking at says this is the moment the knot is tightened. It's making it crystal clear that this was never supposed to be some kind of franchise with competing brands. No, it was one mission, one community, from the very beginning. In fact, our source material calls this verse a theological sledgehammer. And you can see why, right? It's not a suggestion. It's not a gentle hint. It's a direct, uncompromising declaration that just smashes through any idea of division being the original plan. It states unity as a foundational fact of reality. So, what's packed inside this one verse? How does this idea really work? Well, it actually contains three core ideas, three non-negotiables, that tell us exactly what this unity is all about. And this is key. This isn't about some fuzzy, sentimental feeling. It's about deep, doctrinal alignment. Okay, so here they are. First, the ummah, or the community, is one. And this unity is theological. It's about core beliefs, not about ethnicity or politics. Second, the Lord is one. This means the source of guidance, the divine authority, is the same for everyone, always. And third, and this is so important, worship is the result of this unity. It's not the cause. You can't build something real and lasting on a fractured foundation. So what was this unified message that every single prophet delivered? It really boils down to three absolute fundamentals. 1, there is only one God. 2, there is one universal moral order. And 3, we all face one ultimate accountability for how we live our lives. Now, you might see differences in specific laws or rituals between the messengers, but as the source puts it, those were just implementation details. They were tailored for a specific time and place. They never, ever contradicted that core message. Okay, so this brings us to the elephant in the room, right? If the original message was so unified, so clear, where did all this division come from? I mean, how do we end up with so many different groups and factions that often seem to be in competition? Well, this next part offers the Quran's diagnosis.
And this slide just lays out the tension perfectly. On one side, you've got the divine plan, a unified revelation, a single mission, and total doctrinal alignment. But then, there's human action on the other side. And what did that lead to? A fractured message, competing factions, and the messiness of power and ego getting mixed into everything. The Quranic perspective is really clear on this. Humanity broke the message. The message itself was never broken.
And the very next verse nails down the diagnosis, but they fragmented their affair among themselves. Notice the emphasis there. It's squarely on they. The source really highlights this. The verse is placing the responsibility for all this division directly on human beings. It wasn't a flaw in the plan. It was an action people took.
So what were these human factors? Well, the source points to a few usual suspects: power, ego, identity, and just plain old convenience. People started to carve up the original, pure message to fit their own ambitions. Doctrinal unity got traded for tribal loyalty, and that single clear mission got drowned out by all the noise.
But the verse isn't done. After identifying the problem, this human-made division, it finishes with this incredibly calm but profound statement about where all of this is headed.
It's like a quiet, final verdict on all our squabbling.
And all will return to us. Our source describes this phrase as chillingly calm, and I think that's the perfect way to put it. It's not a threat, it's not a warning, it's just stated as a simple, unavoidable fact of existence. There's no sense of panic, no room for debate. It's the ultimate reality check.
You see, all this fragmentation, all these divisions, they might seem incredibly real and permanent to us right here, right now, in what's called the dunya, the temporary physical world. In this realm, our little factions and disagreements can feel like the most important thing in the universe, but this verse just calmly reminds us this is all temporary. Reality, the truth, it's all going to reconverge. It doesn't stay scattered forever.
So let's pull all these threads together now. We've seen the blueprint for unity, we've seen how it got fractured, and we've seen the inevitable return to that unity. So what's the big picture takeaway here? What is this whole passage really trying to tell us?
It really boils down to these 4 points. First, the prophetic message is one single continuous chain. Second, all the division we see today is a human invention. It's an artifact. It's not a divine command. Third, that means real unity can only be built around one thing, the axis of worship, not our tribe, not our politics, not the latest trend. And finally, every single disagreement, every faction, they will all eventually be sorted out before the one final judge.
And that brings us to this incredibly sharp final definition of what we're talking about. True unity, it's not something you declare with banners or catchy slogans. It's not just a nice feeling you have. It is proven by submission, by actually aligning your beliefs and your actions with that original unified message. It's about what you do, not just what you say.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. If accountability is unavoidable, if we're all heading back to a single point of reality where everything is made clear, then what is the real, lasting value of all the divisions we build and defend so fiercely right here, right now? It's definitely something to reflect on. Thanks so much for joining me.